In one of my previous videos, we talked about the magical pause, the space between what happens and how we react. Most of us don't notice it. Something touches an old wound, a word lands wrong, a tone sharpens, and before we even realize it, we're defending, retreating, judging, or closing off. We tell ourselves we're fine, but underneath, a storm brews. That's the moment of the trigger, a small spark that reveals something much deeper within us. But what if that spark wasn't an enemy to avoid, but an invitation to alchemy? True emotional alchemy isn't about avoiding your triggers, it's about learning to be with them, to hold them in awareness long enough for them to turn from reaction into revelation, from pain into power, from emotion into embodied wisdom. When I first began exploring my own triggers, I thought the goal was to eliminate them, to be so evolved that nothing could bother me. But life has a way of humbling even the best intentions. I remember a time when someone came to my town but didn't make plan to meet me. On the surface, it was trivial. After all, we all have busy lives. And trust me, I've done this many times myself. But this is someone I was just trying to get to know more, someone who I felt attracted to. And in that moment of realization that he couldn't even spend 10 minutes to grab a quick cup of coffee with me, my chest tightened. My thoughts raced, and before I knew it, I was spinning a story. Well, I guess he wasn't that into me after all. Maybe I don't matter. Maybe I shouldn't expect anything from anyone. Now, when you are listening to me telling this story, you would probably be like, wow, you truly overthink things, huh? Yeah, I do. But deep down, it wasn't about meeting up at all. That one moment of realization cracked open something much older, a memory of times I felt unseen, forgotten, and abandoned. And in that moment, I had a choice to see my trigger as my enemy or as my teacher, to close the door and spiral into resentment and self abandonment, or to stay curious. Oh, and wait a second, self abandonment. Wow, I actually had not thought about this. So I've had this fear of abandonment my whole life, but I never really thought about the fact that maybe apart from the initial trauma that buried the seed, it has always been me choosing to abandon myself. Hmm, wow. Okay, I'll have to really take some time and reflect on this. Maybe I'll need to do another video about this. But anyway, let's come back to our triggers. Why did I say our trigger is our teacher? Because the first step of emotional alchemy is awareness. When you notice yourself tightening, contracting, or bracing, pause and simply name it. I'm triggered. Something in me is activated. You don't need to analyze or fix it right away. You're just acknowledging what's alive within you. Most people stop here. They either push it away or drown in it. But true alchemy asks you to stay with it, to breathe, to feel without judgment. Because every emotion, anger, fear, shame, jealousy, carries a message. And when you listen deeply enough, that message becomes wisdom. For example, let's talk about anger. Anger often masks hurt or a sense of powerlessness. It arises when your boundaries have been crossed or when something in your world feels unfair. Instead of repressing it or unleashing it, alchemy invites you to honor it. What part of me is asking to be respected right now? That's how anger becomes strength, not destructive, but protective. It becomes the energy that allows you to stand tall and say, this matters to me. Or let's talk about sadness, a tender, heavy ache that many of us resist. We fear it will swallow us whole, but sadness is simply love with nowhere to go. When you allow it, It softens the heart, making space for compassion, empathy, and release. Even jealousy, when alchemized, becomes guidance, showing you what you desire but have not yet allowed yourself to claim. When you stop labeling emotions as good or bad, you begin to see them as waves of energy, each carrying a sacred purpose. But awareness alone isn't enough. The next step in alchemy is curiosity. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to show me? What belief lives underneath this reaction? What need or wound is asking for attention and love? Often, you discover that your triggers point to stories that no longer serve you. I'm not enough. I'll always be alone. I have to prove my worth. These are old voices, echoes from times when you didn't have the tools or support to process your pain. Now, as an awakened adult, you do. And here lies the magic of alchemy. When you meet those old stories with compassion, they dissolve. The emotion that once consumed you becomes integrated, transmuted, understood. Let me share another story. There was a time when someone close to me gave feedback on a project I had poured my heart into. They meant well, but their words felt like knives. I felt my chest burn, and all I wanted to do was defend myself. Instead, I paused. I took a breath. I asked myself, what hurts so much? And what I heard surprised me. A quiet voice said, you're afraid you're not good enough. It wasn't about them, it was about me, about a part of me that was still seeking approval. So instead of reacting, I thanked that part for showing up. I told her, you're safe, you've grown, you no longer need to prove yourself. And something inside me shifted. The sting turned into clarity. I could hear the feedback without taking it personally. That's emotional alchemy. The moment when pain turns into presence. Triggers are not obstacles on the spiritual path, they are the path. Every time you're triggered, life is handing you an invitation. Would you like to meet this part of yourself with love? The people who challenge you most are often your greatest teachers. They help you see where your heart still closes, where old wounds still ask for healing. When you shift your perspective from blame to curiosity, you begin to reclaim your power. Instead of, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this showing me? And in that shift, you move from victim to creator, from reaction to response, from fear to freedom. You may wonder, how do we live like this consistently? It starts with remembering that emotions are energy. When you resist them, they stagnate. When you allow them to flow, they transform. So, when a trigger arises, take 3 conscious breaths. Feel the sensations in your body. Notice where they live, the tightness, the heat, the flutter. Imagine breathing softness into that space. Then, offer yourself the compassion you might have never received when that wound was first formed. Place a hand on your heart and whisper, I see you. I love you. You are safe to feel this. Over time, your nervous system begins to trust that you won't abandon yourself when things get hard. That trust becomes emotional resilience, the foundation of peace. The final stage of emotional alchemy is integration. Once you've understood the lesson, thank the emotion. Say, thank you for showing me what I needed to see. Gratitude closes the cycle and seals the healing. And then let it go. You don't need to carry the story forever. The purpose of alchemy isn't to relive the pain, but to extract the wisdom and set yourself free. As you practice this, something beautiful happens. Your reactions become slower, your compassion deeper. You start seeing others through soft eyes, recognizing that their triggers too are cause for love. You become less reactive and more responsive, less guarded and more grounded. And that's when your presence starts to heal others without you even trying. Emotional alchemy is ultimately about remembering who you are beneath the layers of pain. You're not your triggers, you're not your fears, your mistakes, or your past. You're the awareness witnessing them, the vast, loving consciousness capable of holding all of it. Each time you transmute pain into wisdom, you raise your vibration. You begin to live in higher frequencies of love, compassion, and clarity. And those around you will feel it. Because energy speaks louder than words. When you walk through the world grounded in your heart, you become a mirror for others, showing them that it's possible to live with grace even when life gets messy. And remember, emotional alchemy doesn't mean you stop feeling these emotions. In fact, it's the opposite. You still feel deeply, perhaps even more so with your open heart. But now, your emotions serve you instead of ruling you. You can hold them lightly, learn from them, and then let them go. You become the calm in the storm, and in that calm, wisdom rises, not from thinking, but from being. So, the next time you feel triggered, when someone cuts you off, when a loved one pushes your buttons, when an old insecurity flares up, remember this is your sacred lab. This is where the alchemy happens. Don't run from the discomfort. Sit with it, breathe through it, listen to it. Because the emotion you resist today will repeat until it's understood. But once it's understood, once you've turned it into wisdom, it no longer has power over you. You've learned the lesson. You've integrated the gold, and that, right there, is emotional freedom. If you feel that pull to finally unlock your heart and dive deep into emotional alchemy, I'd love to walk this journey with you. Through my 3-month transformational coaching experience, guided by my signature heart framework, we'll go beyond quick fixes and surface advice. Together, we'll gently unravel what's been holding you back so you can heal, embody your truth, and create a life that feels real, aligned, and truly yours. If this speaks to you, book your free consultation call today and let's explore what's possible for your heart, your life, and your next chapter. And as I record this video, I have construction around my house the entire time. And I just thought it was such a great example of learning and practicing how to pause when life is messy around us. I hope the background noise doesn't affect this video too much. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.